Hinterkaifeck, a small isolated farm deep in the German countryside. The year was 1922. The Gruber family lived there. Andreas, the stern patriarch, his elderly wife, Kazilia, their widowed daughter, Victoria, and her two children, 7-year-old Kazilia and baby Joseph. People whispered about the family's secrets. A new maid, Maria Baumgartner, arrived on March 31st. It was her first day. The last maid had fled, claiming the farm was haunted. Maria needed the work, so she stayed. The farm itself felt alive. Main house, barn and stable all connected, surrounded by fields and woods. Life was hard, but it was supposed to be safe. Yet, on that last day of March, something was already lurking. The Grubers had no idea their quiet farm would soon become infamous. The rhythm of their days masked the darkness creeping in. But that night, the silence would be shattered. The family's isolation would become a trap. Maria unpacked, unaware she'd never leave. The farm's loneliness was about to turn deadly. The story of Hinterkaifeck was about to begin, a place people would talk about for 100 years. The sun set on Hinterkaifeck, and darkness settled in. The family gathered inside, doors locked against the night. But the real danger was already within reach. The farm's quiet would soon be broken forever. A nightmare was about to unfold. In the days before the horror, strange things happened at Hinterkaifeck. Footprints appeared in the snow, coming from the woods, none led away. Andreas Gruber searched the property but found nothing. The family felt watched, a cold fear settling over them. Noises echoed from the attic at night, soft footsteps shuffling above their heads. Andreas checked, but the attic was always empty. The fear grew, quiet but constant. Victoria, devout and strong, felt her faith tested. Little Kazilia heard the noises too, sensing the adult's unease. Imagine being a child, lying awake, hearing footsteps above. The previous maid had fled, convinced the house was haunted. She heard voices, couldn't sleep, and left after 6 months. The Grubers struggled to find a new maid. No one wanted to work at such an isolated, troubled place. But Maria Baumgartner arrived, unaware of the danger. She stepped into a house already marked by fear. The family tried to carry on, but the sense of dread grew. The attic noises continued night after night. The farm's isolation made every sound more ominous. The woods pressed in, the darkness felt alive. The Gruber's world was shrinking, fear closing in. The unseen guest was patient, waiting for the right moment. The family's routines became predictable. The house felt like a trap. Maria's arrival changed nothing. The fear remained. The Grubers were not alone, though they couldn't see their enemy. The stage was set for tragedy. The attic held its secrets. The family's unease deepened. The sun set each night on a house full of whispers. The killer was already there, waiting. The final act was about to begin. Hinterkaifeck's nightmare was only days away. Soon things began to vanish, most troubling of all, the house keys. Andreas searched everywhere, but the keys were gone. The family was unsettled, every lock now useless. Then a strange newspaper from Munich appeared on the property. No one subscribed. No one knew how it got there. It was a sign someone was watching, someone close. Andreas suspected a local enemy, but nothing made sense. He found marks on the tool shed lock. Someone had tried to break in. The family's fear grew. The puzzle pieces didn't fit. Footprints in the snow, attic noises, missing keys, a strange newspaper. The sense of being watched was constant. The Grubers felt trapped, isolated and vulnerable. They couldn't see the threat, couldn't fight what they couldn't find. The farm's isolation, once a comfort, now felt like a prison. The family's routines continued, but the tension was unbearable. Every night, the fear deepened. The killer was testing the boundaries, learning their habits. The Grubers' world was closing in. The sense of dread was overwhelming. The family was living on borrowed time. The farm's secrets were about to be revealed. The killer's patience was running out. The Gruber's fate was sealed. The clock was ticking down to violence. The family's fear was justified. The enemy was already inside the gates. The farm's silence was about to be shattered. The Grubers had no way out. The killer was ready. The final night was coming. Hinterkaifeck was on the edge of disaster. The nightmare was about to begin. March 31st, 1922. The night everything changed. The family finished dinner, the children went to bed. The killer was already there, waiting. He lured the family one by one into the barn. Perhaps a noise. A distressed animal drew Andreas out first. In the shadows, the killer struck with a pickaxe. Kazilia followed, then Victoria and little Kazilia. Each met the same brutal fate. 4 bodies lay in the hay, the barn silent once more. Inside the house, Maria Baumgartner was in her room. The killer entered, ending her life. Finally, he went to Josef, asleep in his cot. The child never woke. 6 lives ended in a single night. The killer was methodical, silent, merciless. No one heard a thing. The farm animals were left alive, the only witnesses. The house was eerily quiet. The killer moved through the rooms unseen. The Gruber's world ended in silence. The farm's isolation made escape impossible. The killer's plan was flawless. The family never stood a chance. The night was cold, the wind the only sound. Hinterkaifeck became a place of nightmares. The killer vanished into the darkness. The farm was left in awful silence. The animals sensed the change. The sun would rise on a house of the dead. The world outside had no idea. Hinterkaifeck's secret was sealed in blood. The nightmare was complete. The most chilling detail, the killer didn't flee. He stayed, living among the dead for days. He covered the bodies, cooked meals, tended the animals. Smoke rose from the chimney. The farm seemed normal. Neighbors saw nothing amiss. The killer milked cows, fed livestock, kept the house warm. He was comfortable, unhurried. Money and valuables were untouched. This wasn't robbery. The killer felt at home, as if he belonged. For 3 days, he was the master of Hinterkaifeck. The postman delivered mail. Friends wondered at the family's absence, but in 1922, there were no phones, no way to check. The killer's calm was terrifying. He waited, unseen, in a house of the dead. The farm's routines continued, but the family was gone. The killer's presence was a ghostly shadow. The world outside remained unaware. The days passed. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The killer lingered, then vanished. Hinterkaifeck was left in silence. The horror was only discovered days later. The killer's identity remained a mystery. The farm's story was just beginning. The legend of Hinterkaifeck was born. The house stood empty, haunted by what had happened. By Tuesday, April 4th, neighbors grew worried. Little Kazilia missed school, the family missed church, mail piled up. Lorenz Schlittenbauer and others went to investigate. The farm was eerily silent, the dog barking inside. Doors were locked, keys missing. They forced entry into the barn and found the bodies hidden under hay. Shocked, they searched the house. It was tidy, but death lingered in the air. Maria was found in her bed, Josef in his cot. The entire family was gone. News spread quickly. Panic and disbelief followed. Who could do such a thing? Police from Munich arrived, but the scene was already disturbed. Neighbors had moved things. Clues were lost. The biggest mystery, the killer had stayed. This was more than murder. It was personal. The community was shaken to its core. Hinterkaifeck's secret was out. The horror was real. The questions were just beginning. Police arrived to chaos and confusion. Forensics were primitive, no DNA, no fingerprints. The murder weapon was a pickaxe from the farm, found hidden in the attic. Autopsies revealed brutal head wounds. Young Kazilia survived for hours, pulling out her own hair in terror. The timeline was clear. The family was lured to the barn and killed Friday night. Suspects multiplied, over 100 in the years that followed. Robbery was ruled out. Money was left untouched. The investigation was massive, but every lead went nowhere. The killer vanished without a trace. The community was terrified, trust shattered, people locked their doors, suspicion grew. The police were left with only questions. The killer was a phantom, slipping away into legend. Hinterkaifeck's mystery deepened. The case remained unsolved. The farm's silence was now filled with fear. The world would never forget. The nightmare lingered. Theories abounded, but answers were few. Lorenz Schlittenbauer, the neighbor who found the bodies, was a main suspect, rumored to be Josef's real father. He acted strangely at the scene, but nothing was proven. Another theory, Victoria's husband, Karl Gabriel, thought dead in the war, might have returned. Some claimed to see him, but it was never confirmed. Dark rumors swirled about Andreas Gruber's abuse and family secrets. Revenge, jealousy, shame, motives were everywhere, but proof was nowhere. The police followed every lead, but always hit dead ends. The case stayed open for decades, new detectives revisiting old files. The killer left no clear clues, only cruelty and silence. The questions piled up. How did he know the family's routine? Why did he stay? Where did he go? The silence from the killer was as profound as the silence that fell over the farm. Hinterkaifeck became a legend of unanswered questions. The mystery endured, the fear never faded, the farm story haunted the land, the truth was lost to time. A year later, the farm was demolished, an attempt to erase the memory. But the story lived on, the empty field becoming a place of legend. The victims' skulls were sent to Munich for study, even examined by psychics, but revealed nothing. The bodies were buried together, their grave unmarked. In 2007, police students reopened the case using modern techniques. They identified a likely suspect, but never revealed the name. The mystery remained unsolved. Hinterkaifeck became more than a crime story, it was a warning about the darkness within people. The field is quiet now, but the questions linger. Who did it? Why? A century later, silence is the only answer. The legend endures, the fear remains. Hinterkaifeck's secret is buried in the earth.